So there's an example of the film. We just talked about editing. Was Tyson heavily involved in what was edited out?
No, there wasn't. We had an agreement that he would have no say in what was in or not in the movie, but he actually didn't want to see it till it was done. And that first exposure to it, which I mentioned, when he saw it while sitting on the floor, actually I think was a bit of a shock to him, because there wasn't any bridge between, there wasn't anything between the moment we finished shooting and the day he saw the completed film. And he said something fascinating at Sundance. We had another standing ovation there, and at the dinner afterward he was kind of exhilarated, and then he said, you know, something very strange happened. It's the third time I've seen the movie, and finally tonight it registered on me. People used to say over the years, I'm scared of you, or I think you're a monster, or meaning not in the ring, in general. And I never understood why. Why did they think of it? And he said, tonight I realized why, and it's because I saw the movie and I said, I'm scared of that guy.
I'm not surprised he's watched that. What's Tyson's favourite part of the movie? What bit has he watched and actually like reliving?
I think he likes watching himself knock a bunch of guys out. And I think he wasn't crazy about seeing himself getting knocked out a few times. In fact, he said at one point, do we have to have me being knocked out so many times? And I said, well, I left out the Danny Williams fight. He said, wow, thanks.
Yeah. And what about yourself? What's your favourite part of the film? Which bit are you... I mean, it's interactive and there's bits of original footage in there, and... There's
about an hour of new stuff that's just for the film, just Mike Tyson now, about 20 minutes of great fight footage, and about 10 minutes of other footage from earlier interviews. My favorite moment of the movie comes relatively early in it, where, actually there are two moments, where leading up to a devastating moment, he talks about pain that he's had and he almost breaks down. He's hyperventilating. But then at just the end, he says, because he talks about being a fat kid and being bullied when he was a kid, and he says, I knew that no one would ever bully me again, because if they did, and he starts hyperventilating again, he's like, I can't even say it. And then the camera holds for a few more seconds and a few more seconds, and finally he says, because if he did, I would kill him. And there's something really chilling and intense about the way he says it. And he chokes up while he's saying it, and that whole congeries of contradictory emotions are manifest in that one intense moment. And then at the very end, the last thing in the movie, where he's in the dark in this starkly lit shot in this house, he's talking about the future, and he says, the past is history, the future's a mystery. And he gives a shrug, and the camera moves in on him, and his eyes close. And it's a very, very haunting ending to the film.
Yeah, it sounds it. And I guess then the bullying really motivated him to start with, to get into the boxing.
Absolutely. You see that all of his power came from fear, a sense of inadequacy, a sense of being pushed around. He talks about being in a gang when he was a kid, and they used to rob these drug dealers, and he used to pick the pocket and take the wallet out because he was the shortest kid, so he was at the level of the pocket.
Wow, God, it's just amazing, his whole life story, as this film does sound fascinating. Let's just take a look at Tyson's last fight. That was against Kevin Bride in 2005. He lost in 6 rounds and called it a day in a post-fight interview.
Mike, first let's start with you. Did you want to continue?
Well, I would like to continue, but I saw that I was getting beat on. I realized I don't think I have it anymore, because I got the ability to stay in shape, but I don't got the fighting guts, I don't think, anymore.
When did you recognize that? At what part of the fight?
I don't know. Early into the fight. I'm just sorry I let everybody down. I just don't have this in my heart anymore.
Did you feel as though you had it coming into the fight?
No, I'm just fighting to take care of my bills, basically. I don't have the stomach for this kind of no more. I'm more conscious of my children and those guys looking at my appearance. I don't have that ferocity. I'm not an animal anymore.
Does that mean we won't see you fight again?
Yeah, that's most likely. I'm not going to fight again. I'm not going to disrespect the sport anymore by losing to this caliber of fighters.
Mike, a lot of people wonder what you'll do now with your life. Boxing has been your whole life.
Well, I'm sure I'll find something to do. Boxing doesn't define me. I'm just sorry to disappoint the people in the city. I know I didn't have it in my stomach no more, but I was in dire needs to take care of my life. I'm just being honest. I'm not taking nothing away from Kevin. I don't love this no more. I'm just in here. I don't love this no more. I haven't loved fighting since 1990. But Kevin, congratulations on your career and good luck.
So, James, did you get the impression that Tyson had any regrets?
I think that he has a lot of regrets, but I think he's transcended them. I don't think he's brooding over them anymore. The one horrendous event in his life, and he vehemently, on camera, as he has with me over the years, denies the validity of the rape charge that Desiree Washington leveled and for which he was convicted. And I think the horror of that experience, which is way beyond any imagination of any horror he could have thought of before or since, that event haunts him. And I would say that if it's beyond regret, there was this one abysmal, nightmarish catastrophe in his life, which he says he never really got over. And he says that people say to him, you know, get over it, move on. And he says it's easy for them to say, I can't.
Would that be his lowest point in his life? Is that...
by far, absolutely. And basically says he never really, he says I wasn't the same person after that.
Well, he certainly had a roller coaster ride. He's earned a fortune and lost a fortune. Did he sort of say why he hadn't sort of planned for the future?
He's not a planner. The way he puts it is he's an extremist. He has to be really high or really low, really at the top or really at the bottom. And I don't think he lives outside of the moment. He is a creature of the moment. And the ability to plan life, to stick to a plan, is something that isn't in his psyche, and it's almost not even in his physical being. And he's shocked at one point, he says, still to be alive. In fact, he says, I can't believe I've reached the age of 40. And he says 40 the way most people would say 80.
God, he wasn't expecting to get there then. We did just talk about some low points in his life. We just got an example of one of those now, a low point in his life.
I got arrested one day. There was a gentleman that lived in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of Brooklyn that I knew him. He had did something to this woman, a prostitute. He had snatched the bag or something, and I was talking to him. But she thought, she knew it was him, but she thought I did it because I was with him. And she took her hot chocolate and poured it right in my face. And as soon as she did that, the cop had grabbed me and threw me in the car, and I had all my skin had fell off my face. And I had nothing to do. It's not that I was an angel or anything. I had already had money in my pocket, and so when they went in my pocket and checked my pocket, I had $1,500. I'm 12 years old with $1,500 in my pocket. There was no way I could claim the money, so I went straight to Spofford Juvenile Center.
We're just talking about Mike Tyson's tattoos. I was saying, how painful was it to have that one on his face?
I don't think he feels pain in the way, and I think this is true of a lot of fighters, in the way others do, because it's integrated into their life. And when he's talking about the Holyfield fight, the first Holyfield fight, he actually says, where he's getting hit a lot, he says, I didn't feel any pain, I just heard the punches. And he says, pa-pow, 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 pa-pow. I heard the punches. And what you think, what it's like to be not feeling the pain of being hit, but actually to hear them. What an odd state of consciousness that is, to be punched hard in the face by a guy who weighs 220 pounds and say, I don't feel it, I was just listening to the sound of the punches. A total detachment from the sensation of physical pain.
And we've just got to